So this chapter opens up with us seeing like another flashback of Tsukumo talking to Choso before they were fighting Kenjaku, and everything pretty much stayed the same with their plan, or at least what we knew of it, where of course they wanted Kenjaku to activate his domain expansion, so afterwards he would have difficulty using curse techniques. Now it turns out that they wanted Choso to come in afterwards, and that him losing to Kenjaku initially was a part of the plan as well, because that convinced him that he was going to be fighting Tsukumo alone. Originally Tsukumo was saying that like she didn't want Choso to team up with her because of the power difference in them, and he would kind of just be in the way. But it was kind of just a misdirection to the audience, I guess, because he was just going to come in at the end anyway. But that brings us to the beginning of this chapter, because it's coming off at the end of the previous, where Tsukumo is pretty much down for the count and about to be defeated by Kenjaku, until suddenly Choso comes in, and I thought he was about to throw like a supernova at Kenjaku, but it turns out that this was just a piercing blood, because he fires it at Kenjaku point blank, but Kenjaku is able to slip it like a boxer, and because of him doing this and moving with it, he's only getting grazed by the piercing blood and obviously not taking it head on. But being grazed by this like opens up his head stitches and his brain is exposed. This is like the first time I think we've seen it since he revealed it for the first time against Gojo and Shibuya. I think this sequence is more important because of what Tsukumo says after Kenjaku like puts his head back together, because she says, "Freaky move, fallen samurai." Now before I go further, let me just also say that TCB has translated this fallen samurai into fallen warrior, which I guess originally is Ochimusha, which they say is often depicted with an arrow through a bald top head. So either this could just be a throwaway statement and it's kind of just a funny thing that Tsukumo's saying, and that would mean that it doesn't really mean much, or this is actual insight into Kenjaku, and that's what I'm going to speculate about now. We hardly really know anything about Kenjaku, to be honest. I mean, we don't even know like what he truly looks like. But judging from her saying this, it seems like maybe originally Kenjaku was a samurai, like back in the Heian era or even before that. And another interesting thing is the fallen aspect of it, because we've heard this before, not necessarily in the Viz translation, but it's what Angel said about Sukuna, how he's like the disgraced one, but another translation could be like the fallen one or fallen angel. So it seems like Kenjaku might be in the same category as Sukuna, with them being fallen, and that makes sense because they are in cahoots, or at least I'm pretty sure they are. It seems like a large part of what Kenjaku is doing is solely for Sukuna, and vice versa. And let us not forget that we have seen another samurai in the Culling game as well, with Daido, the guy that was helping out Maki against Naoya, and that guy's also reincarnated, so it's possible that he, I don't know, was a samurai along with Kenjaku back in the day, and that's why Kenjaku picked him to be a part of the Culling game. And Daido is also special because he's not like a sorcerer. He kind of has like this weird thing where it's like heavenly restriction, but only when he has a sword. I don't know, obviously we hardly know anything. We're just trying to put together breadcrumbs here. Hey, but first let's talk about Gamer Subs, because they currently have their Xmas sale going on, where you're going to get free gifts with every order, and all orders get free samples. So for example, if you spend $35, you're going to get the new Send Nudes waifu cup. No, not nudes like nudes, nudes like noodles. Orders over $100 get this new waifu sport cup, which is really cool. This is new. I haven't seen this one before. And then orders over $150 will get this new waifu gamer bag. This is the stealthy shinobi version, and you can store your Gamer Subs in there. And of course, don't forget to get some Gamer Subs as well. Currently I've been drinking the cherry limesicle. I love this flavor. So guys, all of this is limited stuff, so you're gonna have to act fast. Please check out my link in the description, or you can just go to gamersubs.gg and use code BIGZ. That way you're gonna get 10% off. Thanks guys. But anyway, going more into this, we see Tsukumo and Choso like teaming up on Kenjaku, just like how Yuji and Nanami were against Mahito. And this allows enough time for Tsukumo to break away and heal herself with reverse curse technique. Like she actually does it, heals her arm and like her face too. She didn't do this in the previous chapter, and it made me think like, can she do it, or is she just being too proud and like too crazy in the moment? And I guess it was the latter. She definitely can use reverse curse technique here. I mean, go figure, she's one of 4 special grade sorcerers, so why not? But as she does this, this gives enough time for Kenjaku to like break away, and they try to make like this follow-up attack on Kenjaku, but he winds up dodging it. And as Choso's trying to capitalize on him from the side, Kenjaku winds up activating his gravity curse technique again, and this just sends Choso and Garuda Garuda into the ground. But as this is happening, Tsukumo realizes that, oh, it only lasts for 6 seconds and that it has a radius of 2 to 3 meters from the sorcerer. And in that interval, he crushes everything with curse spirit manipulation. And then we see him like summon this heavy looking curse. Still, that wasn't enough for Tsukumo, and she just destroys it with Garuda. And she continues to go after Kenjaku, thinking that she's going to straight up beat him when she's like, reverse curse technique in the domain wore down his cursed energy. And fighting Choso tired him out, and the gravity isn't as strong as she originally thought. And also, given the effective range of it, she can narrowly escape from it even at close range. So now's like her chance to do like the big attack and take Kenjaku out, but he like parries it, and we see him summon like this mini Uzumaki, and he like blasts her point blank with it. And this is really interesting because this is like one of the finer nuances of using jujitsu, I suppose. I don't think we've ever seen something like this before, because Uzumaki is the maximum technique of curse spirit manipulation, and he's like making a miniature version of it, which is kind of cheating, but at the same time I guess it's not, because Kenjaku just do whatever he wants. But Uzumaki is like when all of the cursed spirits are fused together essentially, and all of their energy can be dispersed in like a blast. Or the other application of it is like you can siphon a curse technique from one of the curses, and then you have like one-time use of it. But somehow he's like manipulating the maximum technique into being a miniature version of itself, but still has a pretty powerful blast to it. And this is giving him the upper hand on Tsukumo here, because after she gets blasted, he's like, oh, you don't feel extra weight due to star rage. So while your density increases, your tensile strength doesn't. So yeah, as we found out, Tsukumo's star rage curse technique increases her mass essentially, or at least the mass of her strikes, because it's not like actually making her heavier, because if it did, then it would weigh her down. But it's also not making her denser or stronger, as he's saying here. So she still has just normal durability essentially, even after activating Star Rage. So she's more susceptible to getting seriously wounded by, taking a point blank cursed energy blast here, which he uses the mini Uzumaki again and blows a hole through her stomach. And that's where the chapter ends. And it's like, wait a second. So is Tsukumo actually going to die here? Because we just came off of her death flag in the previous chapter, right? And she healed in this one. And she had the whole moment where she's like, oh, I'm going to win. But then it comes to her getting her stomach blown through. And I don't really know. The way that Tsukumo fits into the story, she is actually kind of a good candidate to die, because we haven't really grown too attached to her. We were more so just hyped up about her and waiting to see her do something. And now that she finally has, it's possible that she was ultimately just supposed to come to this moment where she would just die to Kenjaku. Now, it's not guaranteed, of course. Like I said, I could see both happening. I could just see her just as easily living, because of course she has reverse curse technique, but easier said than done being able to do it, in this stage. Choso would have to come in and help her, which he very likely will, or even Tengen could eventually do something. But if Tsukumo does wind up dying here, it probably won't be in vain. There will likely be something that she does to stifle Kenjaku, right? Unless it's just super straightforward after this, and he kills Tsukumo, and then he just takes Tengen, and then we go into, the final act of the series, essentially, where his plan has come to fruition, and now we just have to see how the characters deal with it. But let me know what you think about this in the comments, guys, and if you liked the video, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.